You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law, voted best of Pahrump for 4 years. Give them a call, 775-727-9900. News 25 is also brought to you by Gunny's Air Conditioning and Heating. New, service, and repair. Call Gunny's, 775-727-6800.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News 25. I'm Unette Gentry. Thank you for joining us on Ace Country Radio, and we're also streaming at KPVM.TV. We're also on Roku devices. It is Tuesday, May 27th. In our top story, we're telling you now about the information we've gathered so far about a two-vehicle accident today on Homestead and Gameboard Road here in Pahrump.
Jason Ernest of Mount West Lawyers. Don't be bullied by insurance companies. Call me, 775-727-9500.
A two-vehicle collision occurred earlier today, May 27th, around 9:30 a.m. at the intersection of Gameboard and Homestead Road here in Pahrump. Preliminary reports indicate that one driver failed to yield to the right-of-way at a four-way stop, leading to the crash. Both drivers sustained minor injuries and were transported by ground ambulance to Desert View Hospital for evaluation. Emergency responders from Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue quickly arrived on scene, and Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies managed traffic, directing vehicles around the crash site until the scene was cleared. This incident is currently under investigation and no further details have been released at this time.
And over this past Memorial Day weekend, Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue receives reports of a structure fire on Wilson Road. News 25 spoke with Fire Chief Scott Lewis about those details.
May 24th at around 10 a.m., dispatch received a report of a structure fire in the area of Providence Court and Wilson Road. According to reports, the fire involved a double-wide manufactured home. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene and began to quickly combat the blaze. Within 30 minutes, the roof of the structure began to collapse, requiring the firefighters to evacuate the structure and begin a defensive attack. At 12:24, the fire was reported to be under control. News 25 spoke with Fire Chief Scott Lewis at the scene to find out more details.
This morning, Pahrump Fire Rescue was dispatched for a report of a working structure fire. This call occurred right after 10 o'clock this morning. As crews were responding, we noticed a very large dark colored smoke plume developing in the area of the reported address. We were also receiving information that there was numerous reporting parties. There was also early indication that all RPs and the personnel were accounted for who reside in the house, and that there were no animals. As crews arrived, we found heavy fire conditions across the front of a double-wide manufactured dwelling that also had numerous exposures around the property, including a detached actually a multi-car garage on the right side. While we didn't have heavy winds today, we did have occasional breezes that were causing some additional stress on the initial firefight. Crews quickly knocked down the main body of fire on the inside, but found that the fire had extended into the attic space and spread from the roof surface on the pitch of the roof that faces the street. Crews made good progress. However, it took a long period of time. We had to pull our crews at one point because the roof was collapsing onto them. As a result, we then had to switch to a defensive exterior objective, brought our ladder truck in. The ladder basically suppressed the remainder of the roof structure without incident. There are no reported injuries today.
And the President and Vice President pay their respects to our fallen heroes during Monday's federal holiday. Our News 25 Las Vegas correspondent Maria Centers joins us now with highlights from the White House's observance of this year's Memorial Day.
Memorial Day is America's foremost annual day to mourn and honor its deceased service members who gave their all for us. Originally coined Decoration Day, the national commemoration was formalized by a Memorial Day order issued by Grand Army of the Republic Commander-in-Chief John A. Logan back in 1868. U.S. President Donald J. Trump and Vice President and veteran J.D. Vance offered the following words from this year's Memorial Day tribute held at Arlington National Cemetery.
This is a sacred place, an eternal resting spot for our nation's sons and daughters. We gather in solemn commemoration of their sacrifice and the sacrifice made by all those who gave up their lives in service to our beloved country. Each life honored here in Arlington was once full of the ordinary moments and quiet dreams.
Over 400,000 of our fallen service members have been laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery.
Ordinary men and women who chose to shoulder an impossible burden. And when we consider what they gave to us, it's common, of course, to focus on their deaths, on the courage to give in that moment what very few are willing or able to sacrifice. But the real tragedy of the loss is not in a single moment of suffering, as our Gold Star families know well, but in all the future moments they and their families lost.
Arlington National Cemetery conducts between 27 to 30 funeral services each weekday, while 6 to 8 services are held on Saturdays.
My fellow Americans, especially those watching on television, consider the sum of all the moments that make a good life, and now appreciate that countless strangers, people most of you never met, they gave up those moments in their own life so that we could enjoy them in ours. And that is what Memorial Day is all about.
Just across the Potomac River and located only a couple miles from Washington, D.C., Arlington National Cemetery is open 7 days a week from 8 o'clock a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m.
We're reminded that it's love which moves the course of history and moves it always toward freedom, always. From Bunker Hill to Bastogne to Cantigny to Coral Sea, from Gettysburg to Guadalcanal and Concord to Kabul, America's best and America's bravest have fought, bled, and died so that we could pick up the torch of liberty. We salute them in their eternal and everlasting glory, and we continue our relentless pursuit of America's destiny as we make our nation stronger, prouder, freer, and greater than ever before. May God bless our fallen heroes. May God bless our Gold Star families. And may God bless the United States of America.
The President and Vice President/veteran gathered with Gold Star families, service members, and cabinet delegates, among others. Reporting from Las Vegas, I'm Maria Centers for News 25.
And don't grab that remote. Much more information, especially regarding a story about a fatality involving an openly carried firearm. News 25 will be right back.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome back to News 25. Well, a Las Vegas man is dead following a violent altercation involving an openly carried firearm. Metro Police have that suspect in custody, who is reportedly known to law enforcement and has a prior criminal history.
A Las Vegas man was fatally shot inside of a business on East Charleston Boulevard Friday afternoon. According to Las Vegas Metro, officers responded around 4:48 p.m. on May 23rd after receiving a report of a man shot inside of a business at the 1200 block of East Charleston Boulevard.
Downtown officers quickly responded, and upon their arrival, they located one individual suffering from a gunshot wound inside the business. Those officers immediately rendered aid until medical arrived. And upon medical arrival, unfortunately, that individual was pronounced deceased. As more officers arrived, the suspect was located approximately a block away and was taken into custody without incident. Homicide detectives have been notified, and we're currently on scene investigating the crime. The preliminary details that we know so far are: a male individual entered the store and was acting very erratic. There was a customer inside the store that just happened to be open carry firearm. That erratic male quickly went to grab the open carry firearm, which caused a struggle to ensue between the customer and the erratic male. At some point in time, the erratic male was able to gain possession of that firearm, and he shot the customer.
The suspect, later identified as 36-year-old Kyle Capucci, was located nearby and placed into custody without incident. Court records reveal that Capucci has a history of violent behavior. In 2022, he pleaded guilty to attempted robbery after threatening a restaurant employee with a knife. A Las Vegas judge subsequently sentenced him to 2 to 5 years in prison. Though he was denied parole in 2024, it remains unclear when he was ultimately released from custody. At a recent probable cause hearing for the murder charge, a Las Vegas Justice Court judge declined to set bail. This is a developing story, and News 25 will update the public when more information becomes available.
And turning back now to Pahrump area news, the class of 2025 for Pahrump Valley High School is gearing up for graduation this Friday, but there are quite a few things for students, families, and attendees to know before going to that ceremony. Our News 25 reporter Rory Rosell, who is also graduating from PVH this Friday, has all the dates, times, and policies that you need to know about.
Pahrump Valley High School is now finalizing its preparations for the class of 2025's graduation ceremony, and there is a lot to cover. Senior week begins with Senior Awards Night on Wednesday, May 28th at 6 p.m. in the school gym. Graduation rehearsals will follow starting Thursday, May 29th at 7:30 a.m. on the football field and again on Friday in the cafeteria. Attendance to both rehearsals is mandatory for all graduating seniors. Graduation will take place on Friday, May 30th at 8 p.m. on the PVHS football field. Graduates must check in at 6:30 and have a completed checkout form to participate and receive their tickets. There is also a senior brunch planned on Thursday's rehearsal. Entry to the graduation is limited to ticketed guests only. There will be no general admission in the bleachers this year. Gates will open at 6 p.m. and all guests are required to be seated by 7:45 p.m. The field gates will close at that time and remain closed until the end of the ceremony. To enhance safety and speed up entry, the school has enforced a strict clear bag policy. All bags will be screened. Overflow parking will be available at J.G. Johnson Elementary School, and shuttle services to the high school will operate every 15 minutes starting at 6 p.m. Now on to graduates. Graduates are required to wear approved cap and gowns through the school. Regalia such as cords, medals, and honor stoles must be approved and earned by PVHS or official school organizations. Unauthorized items may not be worn, although religious and cultural stoles may be approved with a prior written submission. Diplomas will not be distributed at the ceremony. Graduates may return to the school starting Friday, June 6th through June 13th from 8 to 2 p.m. daily to pick up their diplomas. KPVM TV will be at the graduation recording the entirety as well as selling DVDs or email copies of the video. As the class of 2025 prepares for graduation, Pahrump Valley High School officials are encouraging families and students to follow all of these guidelines and arrive early to ensure a smooth and memorable celebration.
And we here at News 25 want to say congratulations to the super smart and talented Rory and the entire class of 2025. And in our health news today, with summer break just around the corner, some parents may be tempted to let their kids stay up a bit later than usual, but that might not be such a good idea. Here's why.
Today's health report is brought to you by Desert View Hospital. When you or a loved one needs medical attention, Desert View Hospital is ready to help. We've been providing friendly and compassionate care to our neighbors since 2006, including emergency services available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Visit desertviewhospital.com to learn more. With limited exceptions, physicians are not employees or agents of this hospital.
I think a little relaxation in the summer is totally fine and warranted for all the hard work that your kid's been doing all year at school. But on the other hand, if you're noticing bedtime slip a lot later, like more than an hour later, then that's a little concerning. Because especially whenever summer's about to end, you have to shift backwards.
Dr. Brian Chin is a sleep specialist with Cleveland Clinic. He says the later your child's bedtime is during the summer, the tougher it is going to be to transition back during the school year. In some cases, it could take them weeks or even months to readjust. He says it's natural for kids to want to stay up later in the summer since the sun stays out for longer in the evening. And it's okay to have some flexibility with that, but ultimately, it's best to keep a consistent bedtime. He says many kids also have sports and other activities during the summer, so getting enough sleep is important for that too.
If you go to bed too late and you have to wake up early in the summertime, then you're going to be missing out on a couple minutes, a couple hours of sleep, and that can significantly affect your day. So for kids, teenagers, it can really affect your mood, your behavior, your cognitive performance, and even your performance in sports and other extracurriculars.
Speaking of summer, monsoon season is almost here. That info and more, plus your in-depth weather after this break.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500.
Welcome back. Well, Valley Electric Association is here with some essential storm safety tips to help us get through the upcoming monsoon season.
This segment of News 25 is brought to you by Valley Electric and its family of companies focused on serving our members. We're better together.
Monsoon season can bring summer storms. Here's Storm Prep 101. Get organized before a storm strikes. Store an emergency supply kit in an easy-to-find spot. Make sure it includes water, a 3-day supply, 1 gallon per person per day. Tools, a flashlight, batteries, a manual can opener, and hand radio. A first aid kit. Include a week's supply of prescriptions and medications. And don't forget the pantry. Be sure to stock up on non-perishables. Here's a food safety tip. How long will frozen food keep during an outage? A full freezer, about 48 hours. A half-full freezer, about 24 hours. If your freezer isn't full, group items close together. And remember, when in doubt, throw it out. Try the quarter test. If a major storm is on the way, use this simple trick to test if items in your freezer are safe to eat after a power outage. Before the storm, place a cup of water in your freezer. When it's frozen, put a quarter on top. Leave it in your freezer. If the quarter is where you left it after the power is restored, your food is safe. If the quarter has fallen, the frozen water has thawed. It's best to toss the food. Here are some generator safety tips. Keep generators away from water. Never use a generator inside. Never connect it to your home's electrical system. Always let the generator cool down before refueling. Install carbon monoxide detectors. Here's a medical equipment reminder. If someone in your home uses life-sustaining equipment powered by electricity, let us know so we can take note on your account. Have a backup power source on hand or make arrangements to move to a temporary location if you lose power. If you have any questions, call Valley Electric at 775-727-5312.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Let's take a look through our Lerner and Rowe weather cam at this last Tuesday of May. It is a beautiful day out there. We do have cloud cover over the area and temperatures are on the rise. A closer look at weather after the break.
Weather is sponsored by the Nevada Dairy Farmers and the Dairy Council of Nevada, sharing the love of all things dairy. Celebrate the best moments with milk. Milk the moment. And the weather is also brought to you by the Ponderosa Dairy, Nevada's largest dairy, fresh from our farm to your table.
Good evening, Nevada. My name is Rory Rosso, coming to you from the Channel 25 Weather Studios and taking a look at Nevada right now. Up in northern Nevada, Fernley is seeing 87 degrees, Fallon is seeing 88. Carson City is at 84, Tonopah is sitting at 82 degrees, Goldfield is at 93. Beatty's at 97. Amargosa and Las Vegas are tying today at 96 degrees. And Death Valley is at 105 degrees today. But here in the beautiful Paradise Pahrump, we're currently seeing 93 degrees. The high today was 94. Wind blowing south-southwest at 9 miles per hour. Humidity 18%. And the sun rose this morning at 5:29 and is setting tonight at 7:49 p.m. The humidity raises up to 18%, and the wind continues to blow tonight at east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. The low tonight is going to be 67 degrees. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. Tomorrow on Wednesday, we are seeing 97 degrees, 98 on Thursday, and then into the triple digits throughout the weekend. 102 on Friday, which is the Pahrump Valley High School graduation, so make sure to bring that water bottle with you. On Saturday, it's going to be 103, 100 on Sunday, and then back down into the 90s on Monday, at 97 on Monday, and 96 on Tuesday. So like I said, make sure to stay hydrated and wear that sunscreen. Back to the desk, here's Unette.
Thanks so much, Rory. And as we close tonight, we also want to say happy birthday to one of Mikey Ruhan's friends from North Carolina, Amanda Farrow Duncan of Charlotte. Happy birthday. Well, that does it for this edition of News 25. I'm Unette Gentry. And from all of us here at KPVM and Ace Country Radio, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the air next newscast. Good night.